Hello everyone, Selena Dautel, Realtor with Coldwell Banker. Back to do another segment. Segment is Get to Know Your Realtor. So I do different things. I sing. I told you about my passions, and I told you another one of my passions is my family. So I'm trying to walk you through my life, and not necessarily just the bad things, but just my life in general. So again, this is you getting to know your realtor. I think the last part I had left off, it was how our childhood friend, my parents had let him move in with us, come to Florida, move in, because I'm originally from Kentucky. Moved in with us, and it was Halloween night, and he got really intoxicated on whiskey and stabbed my cousin's husband, who almost died. So I think that was the last scenario I told you. So I think I was about 13, 14 at the time. No, had to be younger than that. Well, no, we moved to Florida when I was 12. So it was probably like 13. All right. And so in Kentucky, growing up in Kentucky, I loved school. It was such a culture shock for me moving to Florida. And school in Kentucky, elementary school went K through 8, and then high school was 9 through 12. And we did not do a lot of class changing. I didn't switch classrooms until I was in 6th grade, and then I only switched one time. So my 6th grade teacher was my teacher for every subject except for science, and then we did switch classrooms and teachers for science. And then in 7th grade as well, that happened. I just can't remember what. That's irrelevant. And then the summer of my before starting 8th grade, we moved to Florida. So I started 8th grade here in Pinellas Park, Florida. I went to Morgan Fitzgerald Middle School in 8th grade. And like I said, it was such a shock to me because I get there, and I think then it was 7 or 8 classes, and I had 7 or 8 classes. I mean, we switched teachers, classrooms, everything. So it was such a culture shock to me. And then I started high school. I went to Pinellas Park High School. And I started skipping school once I started high school. I think the first time we just a bunch of friends, we were walking to school because I lived in a condominium complex. I think I told you my dad was the maintenance man there. My mom started out as the assistant manager, and I think at this time she was the assistant manager there. And so all of the kids that lived there, we all became friends, and we were within walking distance of the school. So we had to walk, and we just decided to walk one morning, and they're like, hey, let's skip. And I had never skipped school in my life. So I was nervous, but I didn't like school here in Florida. So I was on board to skip. And I mean, I can't say I regret anything because everything that I went through has made me who I am. But as I progress through the story, you will learn how that one decision to skip one time was not a good one. My dad did bust me. I mean, we stupid teenagers. We decided to go back. We skipped and we went back to one of my friend's house. And knowing that my dad was a maintenance man there, we tried to like sneak in, but my dad saw me. So I got grounded to my bedroom for like, I don't know how long, 2 weeks or whatever. And generally, I was like the only girl. Like I had an older brother, younger brother. So I was the only girl, middle child. And for the longest time, I was the baby of the family and the only girl. I don't think I have to say any more about that. So generally, when my dad grounded me, I would just be like, Daddy, and then I could go outside. No, this time he stuck to it. 2 weeks grounded. There was no sweet talking him, no batting the eyes, nothing. 2 weeks grounded. So you would think that would deter me from skipping again. But oh no, it did not. I think my first year in high school, I earned a half credit because I skipped so much. And to be honest, I don't even know how I earned that half a credit. Yeah, and so I can't remember if I think it was the first year that I was skipping school. Yeah, it was actually at another friend's in the complex skipping. And like she had just made us lunch, and my shoes were on the floor. And there was a knock on the door, and I know my dad's voice, and it was my dad, and he was like, I'm here to spray, because he did monthly pest spraying. And my friend ran to answer the door, and I didn't have time to tell her that was my dad. I just jumped up and ran into one of the bathrooms and shut and locked the door. Well, luckily, she, like, after my dad left, and she was like, "Why did you hide out in the bathroom?" I'm like, "That was my dad." And she was like, "Oh my goodness." She goes, "Luckily, I got busy picking up stuff in the bedroom." She goes, "Because I was going to yell for you that it was just the bug guy and that you could come out." Well, luckily, my dad was not the type to pay attention to the fact that his, you know, pay attention to the shoes that his daughter wore when she exited the home that morning. Otherwise, I would have been busted because my shoes were laying out there, and we had both sandwiches sitting out, but only one person sitting there. Yeah, so luckily I did not get caught that day. Yeah, and then it just like progressed and progressed from there. I remember, I think at this point my dad was or my mom was the manager of the condominium complex. So we had relocated so we could be near the office. I mean, it was all the same, but before we were living in one part of the condominium complex, and then when they promoted my mom to manager, we had to move down to by the pool, spa, and office area. Um, so I remember us had already moved. So my mom was the manager. My dad was the maintenance guy, and I just got sick of waking up and pretending that I was going to school. So every morning I would just sleep in. And I remember my dad, like every morning yelling at me, "Get up and get ready for school, or I'm going to come in there and whoop you." And then I'd be like, my response to him would be like, "Well, hurry up and come in here and do it so I can go back to sleep." He never did. If he actually would have followed through, would that have changed anything? Hard to say. But again, I don't regret anything because the path that I took made me who I am today. And again, I ended up valuing education a lot. So, which again, you'll hear as I progress through my story. I think at one point my parents were actually glad I was skipping because, like I said, I did go to Pinellas Park High School, and I was in high school during the time of the shootings. I knew both of the gentlemen who did the shooting. One of them didn't know very well, and the other one I did. But I knew him, and the scary part is one of my best friend who went in middle school and high school and beyond until I married him and got a divorce. He was actually dating a girl at the time, which was why one of the guys wanted to go in and do the shooting anyways, because he loved that girl. They had dated and they broke up, and he wanted to go and shoot her boyfriend, which was my best friend. So luckily that didn't happen, but sadly people did lose their lives that day. But yeah, so I think on that particular instance, my parents was glad that I was skipping school because I was at home. I mean, that was at the point where I was like, I'm not even going to pretend anymore. So, I mean, to be a realtor, you at least have to have a high school diploma. So, I eventually did finish school, but I'll tell you more about that road in my next segment. So, don't get discouraged. I mean, we've all made mistakes in our life. We just have to learn from them and try to do better, which is what I did, and which is what I hope all of us will do. So, and don't be afraid to use me as your realtor after hearing this. You will hear great things in my life and how I've overcome all of that stuff. So, again, this is just getting to know your realtor. I hope you enjoy my stories, and we'll see what I do next time. Bye. And it's 2022 now, so Happy New Year. Thanks. Bye.